I am 81 years old, and I walk less now than I did 3 years ago. My long walk is gone. Down to the corner, past the church, home again, every morning. I did that walk for 11 years, and one autumn my hip took it away from me. And here is the strange part. I am on my feet more this year than I was at 76. Not exercise, not a program, nothing my daughter had to sign me up for or drive me to. 5 things I was already doing every single day, done a little differently. That is all this is, and I want to give you all 5 of them tonight. Stay with me to the last one. The 5th is the one that gave me back my mornings. Let me tell you who is talking to you, so you know where any of this is coming from. I am not a doctor. I never was, and I am not going to play one at my kitchen table. I will not tell you a single thing about your body because I do not know your body. I am telling you what happened in my house and what I would do over again tomorrow. I married a man named Everett when I was 22 and certain about everything. We raised 2 boys and a girl in a house with a bad furnace and a very good porch. I worked in a school kitchen for 26 years, on my feet by 6 in the morning. Everett has been gone 9 years. He went in November before the first real snow. And somewhere in the quiet after that, I sat down. I never decided to. I just did. There was no morning when I gave anything up. That is what nobody warns you about. It happens the way a room gets dusty, slowly, and then one day you see all of it. So here is the mistake I carried, and it cost me the better part of 2 years. I believed that moving meant a walk, a real one, with shoes and weather and a plan. 30 minutes, out and back, and if I did not do it, the day did not count. I was proud of that walk, the way you are proud of a job you never once miss. Then the hip started arguing, the walk got shorter, and one November it stopped. And when the walk stopped, every other thing stopped quietly along with it. That is the trap, and I want you to hear it plainly, because I fell straight in. If the only moving that counts is the big kind, then one bad hip ends all of it. I sat down in a chair the color of oatmeal, and I told everybody I was resting. I rested for 1.5 years. Nobody on this earth needs that much rest. By the end of it, I was holding the counter to stand up and telling nobody. My shoes stayed by the front door with the laces still tied from the last time. I walked past them every day and felt like a woman who used to do things. A woman who used to. That is an awful thing to become in your own hallway. What got me up was not a plan and not a program. It was my neighbor Lorraine. She came over in October with a jar of soup and no patience left for me. She stood in my kitchen and said one sentence I have never been able to forget. She said, "You have not stopped walking, Ruth. You have stopped going places. And your legs believed you." That last part is what kept me awake that night. So I changed 5 things. Standing up when the telephone rings. 1 flight of stairs. Carrying my own bag. Keeping a chair that makes me rise. And having somewhere to go. 5 things. Not one of them is exercise, and not one of them is new to you. The first thing is this: when the telephone rings, get on your feet to answer it. That is the whole of it, and I know exactly how small that sounds out loud. My daughter Marianne calls on Sunday evenings, and she is not a short talker. 40 minutes, sometimes an hour, about her job and the dog and her husband's back. For 2 years, I took those calls sunk down in the recliner with my feet up. Now I stand at the counter. I wipe the table. I put the clean plates away. I walk the length of my own kitchen with the phone against my ear, and I talk. That is 40 minutes on my feet, and I never once called it a single thing. I called it talking to my girl. The rest of it happened while I was not looking. 4 calls a month, an hour apiece. Work out what that recliner was quietly taking. I do not count steps. I have no little machine on my wrist, and I do not want one. But I know the difference between the woman who sat through those calls and me. The second thing is 1 flight of stairs a day. 1 flight, on purpose. When my hip got bad, my children moved my life downstairs, and they were kind to do it. Bed in the sewing room, clothes in the hall closet, everything on the 1 floor. And my upstairs turned into a place I used to live in. 6 months of that. So I made a rule with myself, and I have not broken it since that winter. Something I need lives up there now. My good hairbrush sits on the dresser. It is never coming down. If I want my hair to look like anything, I go up. I hold the rail. I go slow. There is nobody at the top of my stairs with a stopwatch. Some days I stand at the bottom and look up the way you look at a hill. I go anyway, and I have never been sorry at the top. Not one time in 2 years. If your house has no stairs, the church has 5, and the library has a good handful. The third thing is carrying your own bag, your own groceries, your own basket, your own load. This one I lost without a fight, and I never even saw it going. My son Danny started taking the bags out of my hands at the car door. Then the boy at the market started carrying them out for me, every single time. Then Mary Ann started ordering the groceries and having them set on my porch. Every one of those was love. I want to be clear about that before I say the rest. But a day came when I could not remember the last thing I had carried myself. Now I buy 2 small bags instead of 1 big one, and I make 2 trips to the car. 2 trips used to feel like losing. These days, the 2 trips are the whole point. The people who love you will take every heavy thing straight out of your hands. They are not wrong to offer, but say yes to all of it and you get smaller. The fourth thing is keeping 1 chair in your house that you have to get up out of. Everett bought me a recliner the year he retired, and I loved that man for it. Deep, soft, and it swallowed me whole. Getting out of it became a small event. 2 rocks forward, a hand on each arm, and a sound I did not like hearing myself make. Mary Ann wanted to buy me the kind with the motor that stands you up on its own. And listen, if you need that chair, thank heaven for it, and I mean that. Some people need it, and there is no shame within a mile of that sentence. I said, not yet. Not yet was the most important thing I said that entire year. I dragged a wooden kitchen chair into the front room and put my book beside it. Straight back, hard seat, no argument in it. That is where I read now, every afternoon. I get out of that chair a dozen times a day, and I never think about it once. That is what I wanted. Not a chair that helps me, but a chair that asks me. The fifth thing is the one the rain handed me in my kitchen, and it is the biggest. Do not go for a walk. Go somewhere. There is a whole world between those two. A walk has no ending inside it. You can quit a walk at the door and nobody knows. There is nobody waiting at the corner. The corner does not care if you come. An errand pulls you out of the house before you have finished arguing with yourself. So I gave away my mailbox. I had it moved down to the end of the lane on purpose. Every day at 11 I go and get the mail, and mostly the mail is nothing at all. I go to the little market for one thing. One. Bread or a lemon or nothing much. On Thursdays, I walk 2 streets over and sit on Bev's porch, and we say the same things. On Sunday, I go early to the churchyard bench because Everett is 50 steps past it. Not one of those is a walk. Every one of them is a reason to put my shoes on. And here is what I noticed. Nobody misses you at the corner. Bev misses me on Thursday. That is the trick of the 5th thing. Put a person or a purpose at the end of it. Let me walk you through an ordinary Tuesday, because that is where all of this lives. I get up, and the first thing my feet do is carry me past a made bed to the kettle. The kettle sits on the far counter now, not the near one. I moved it there myself. The mail at 11. That is the outdoor part of my day, and it takes 9 minutes. Danny calls at noon, and I am standing for all of it, wiping a counter that is clean. In the afternoon, I read in the hard chair, and I get up twice for tea I do not need. Once a day, I climb the stairs for the hairbrush, or a sweater, or the good scissors. That is it. That is the whole program, and it was never a program at all. Now, my friend Dolores went the other way, and I say this with love, not judgment. She had a stool put in her kitchen so she could sit while she made her supper. A year later, she had one in the bathroom, and one by the door for her shoes. Her house filled up with places to sit, and her life got smaller by the month. Dolores did nothing wrong. Every stool made perfect sense on the day it arrived. That is how it goes. Nobody sits down all at once. You sit down one good reason at a time. If I could go back and say one thing to myself at 55, it would be this. Do not let anybody take the small jobs away from you, not even the ones who love you best. The dishes, the mail, the stairs, the bag from the car. Those are not chores. Those are the last things standing between you and a chair with a good view. And when your children say, "Sit down, Mom," I will do it. Have an answer ready. Mine is this. Let me do it, and you talk to me while I do. Nobody has argued yet. Now, there are days when my hip wins. Rain comes, and I do not do one of the 5. On those days, I sit in the oatmeal chair, and I do not scold myself for 1 minute. The 5 things are not a rule. A rule you can fail. These are only doors left open. And if you are in a wheelchair tonight or behind a walker, this is still yours. Reaching, standing, going somewhere with somebody pushing you. Same idea, honey. I am not going to tell you what any of this does inside a body. That is not mine to say. What I can tell you is what it did to my idea of who I am, and that is the whole thing. There is being taken care of, and there is being moved to the edge of your own life. They look the same at the start, and by the time you can tell them apart, years are gone. Nobody sits you down and says, "You are finished now." They just start doing things for you. and you are grateful, and you say thank you, and you keep your seat, and that is that. Last October, 1 year after the soup and the sentence, Lorraine came up my lane. She had to wait for me because I was not in the house. I was down getting the mail. She said, "Look at you." And I said, "I am not doing anything, Lorraine. That is the point. Those shoes of mine are worn through at the heel now, and I am proud of every bit of it." So here is the one step, and I want you to keep it small on purpose. Pick one. Tomorrow morning, pick one of the 5, and do it before you have decided anything. Take the first telephone call of the day on your feet. That is the easiest door there is. You are not a woman who used to. You are a woman between things, and that is different. 3 years ago, I could not have told you that. I am telling you now, and I mean it. If you are still with me at this hour, subscribe, and I will keep talking to you like this. Next week, I want to tell you about the things I stopped apologizing for after 70. Good night. Be gentle with yourself tomorrow, and pick one.